Alright guys, just a quick one today. I want to talk about Liam Paro and his performance last night against David Papot in that IBF welterweight title eliminator, as well as Liam Wilson against Jorge Santana for the WBO International Super Featherweight title. Good night of boxing up there in Brisbane. Liam Paro, the star of the show, the star attraction, he fought Frenchman David Papot. That was for the IBF welterweight title eliminator. Not the best night for Liam Paro. I think Liam Paro will be less than impressed with himself. I don't think he held himself in the stead that I think he can hold himself. Look, let's get into the result. Liam Paro wins the fight. Unanimous decision, 117, 111, 116, 112, 116, 112. If we just have a quick dissection of the fight, rounds 1 till 3, Liam Paro starts off very, very well, boxing very, very well. Except for these big overhands that he was throwing, he kept trying to target David Papot with a big power shot, and every single one of them basically missed. David Papot ducking under him, and really leaving Liam Paro exposed, to be honest. And I was looking at him and I was saying, David Papot's fighting with his hands down. He wants you to try and throw. He's almost doing what he would have done when he was a kickboxer, hands down, trying to counter, backing out of the way. The plan was clearly set there, and I was looking at Liam Paro and it said, go to the body, but he kept insisting on throwing these hands that were missing by a mile to the head, and it did start off very messy, that fight. A lot of clinch work. The second half of the fight wasn't as much clinch work, but the styles definitely didn't mesh exceptionally well. Round 4, Liam Paro gets caught, big counter, a left hand straight to his right eye. Liam Paro's eye swells basically instantly, and by the start of the 5th or 6th round, the eye is swollen shut and he can't see. Round 5, after Liam Paro gets rocked in round 4, round 5, David Papot starts to go to work, and you start to really worry about Liam Paro. Round 6, Paro gets wobbled again when he eats another big left hand to that closed left eye. The right eye. He can't see out of that right eye, so I'm surprised he didn't eat a lot more than what he did last night. Wobbled again, survives the round, goes back to his corner. Round 7 and round 8 sort of keep going the same way for David Papot. Definitely in control. Though Liam Paro is having good moments in the fight, David Papot's landing the heavier shots. So it was sort of, what style do you like more? Do you like the work from Liam Paro or the shots being landed by David Papot? Sort of round 9 time, Liam Paro switches again, goes back to work, and sort of rides out the rest of that fight, winning most of the rounds, apart from round 11 where he gets caught again and wobbled. So for Liam Paro, I think the unanimous decision, 117, 111 especially, is quite complimentary to what Liam Paro threw up last night. David Papot probably doesn't feel very happy about that scorecard because it wasn't that type of fight. It was cagey, it was messy, a lot of clinch work. And as much as Liam Paro was the better boxer and probably landed the more shots, the damaging shots, the person that looked in trouble the most in that fight was Liam Paro. Like I said, he got rocked 2 or 3 times, eye completely shut. And I'll give Liam Paro credit because he really bit down on his gum shield and saw out that fight, didn't get himself knocked out, and most importantly, fought half of that fight with one eye, and the one eye that he couldn't see out of was the one trying to watch that big left hand from David Papot. Now, there's not a lot that I'm here to say that is good for Liam Paro. It will be all criticism, basically. And the reason I criticize him is because I am a big Liam Paro fan. I think he's an exceptional boxer. I think he is one of the best boxers, if not the best boxer, in terms of IQ, footwork, and just pure boxing ability. I think he's really up there at the top of welterweight. I think he showed that at super lightweight. He did a great fight against Sabril Mateus to win the belt. He loses narrowly to Richardson Hitchens, which is another great boxer in that division. At welterweight, you look at the other champions and you're seeing a lot of power punches, but you're not seeing a lot of tactically great boxers that I think Liam Paro possesses. And last night, I don't think he displayed how good a boxer he is. I think he got stuck in a mindset that he was going to knock David Papot out and make it light work. Got complacent, lacked a bit of composure, and he really, I think, found that out in that fight. The reason that fight worried me was coming into the fight, nobody said David Papot was a big puncher. 30 wins, 5 knockouts. We all knew that David Papot really wasn't going to be a knockout threat, and he wasn't really a knockout threat at welterweight. Someone that has fought even as high as middleweight. But the last night we saw someone that was much bigger than Liam Paro landing shots that really, really, really hurt Liam Paro, like badly, rocked him 2 or 3 times, swelled the eye, and it wasn't a great performance by Liam Paro. Not only did Liam Paro look unable to hurt Papot, but Papot made it look really easy to hurt Liam Paro, and that becomes a real big problem because, like I said, David Papot wasn't regarded as a power puncher. He's a big guy, which helps. If you're fighting most of your fights at middleweight or super welterweight and you go down, that power is going to transition and you're going to become more of a knockout threat. But at welterweight, and you look at the welterweight landscape of champions right now, you got Lewis Crocker, who dropped Paddy Donovan on the weekend twice. Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan, 2 big guys as well. You got Brian Norman Jr. with one of the best knockouts I've ever seen. And Rolly Romero, someone that has looked really, really, really big at welterweight. Mario Barrios, I'm not a very big fan of. That's one that, yeah, I mean, the guy couldn't really beat a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao, and Abel Ramos gave him a hell of a fight. Like, these are the levels that we're talking about for Mario Barrios, so we're just going to move past him. And then you look at some of the other names that aren't even champions, and you're looking at how good a fighter Stanionis is, how well Conor Benn fought, stumbling someone up at middleweight in Conor Benn. You've seen Devin Haney cause people chaos. You've seen Ryan Garcia really hurt Devin Haney. I know he was juiced up, but everybody knows that Ryan Garcia's got a lethal left hand. And you look at these names and you think to yourself, you're looking at Liam Paro and you're saying, you just survived David Papot's punches. You eat a left hand like you did against David Papot, but the guy throwing it is Ryan Garcia or Brian Norman Jr., and I believe your night's over. Liam Paro, don't get me wrong, I think he's an exceptional boxer, and every time he was boxing last night, he was fighting very well. Every time he tried to brawl or tried to throw with Papot, that's when he got in trouble. That's when he got found out. And I think that came from a bit of complacency and a little bit of expectation that you were going to make last night light work. It is good experience. It is a learning curve. I think Liam Paro, after the fight, said that he's going to go back to the drawing board and decide what's next. He didn't actually call anyone out. I think that's very smart. I think he's got to work out. He said that he's too big for super lightweight. Now, I still thought that he was, height-wise, still value at super lightweight. Yeah, the weight cut's probably brutal, but some of the weight cuts these guys do to become world champions is brutal, unfortunately, and sometimes you've just got to cop that. I mean, we've seen some weight cuts recently. I mean, I always think of Chris Eubank Jr. and how he makes the weight, and it is excruciating, unbelievable, just brutal to make the weight. And he's got to either try and get himself back to super lightweight, or he's got to get himself into camp at welterweight, really, really, really work on his power output. Ignore the boxing. Your boxing technically is perfect, in my opinion. When you're concentrating and you're thinking, your footwork is exceptional. Your boxing IQ is exceptional. Work on that power and work on how much weight, the maximum weight you can put on in muscle that you can comfortably sort of lose before the fight, and rehydrate the hell out of yourself and just try and make yourself bigger, make yourself a bigger presence. You're not going to have the height, but you don't need the height. The height will save you. You can put a bit more muscle on without the extra height, and really just try and stock up the chest and the arms and be a presence in the ring, because when the person you're fighting has no fear of the power you're giving, you put yourself in a very dangerous position, especially when you can't take the power that they're given. So I think these are all the things that Liam Paro's got to go back to the drawing board and work out. Because like I said, I was surprised when he moved up to welterweight, because I was always like, well, he's just a perfectly sized super lightweight. He fights exceptional there. And I still do believe he's a good boxer. I just think what we saw last night could have been a bit disastrous, and he's got to work on Is this the right weight for me? Did I prepare my body the right weight for this new weight? They're the things that I think he's got to question in camp. What's next for Liam Paro? That's really for him to work out if he is going to stay at welterweight. I don't know whether the IBF are going to make Lewis Crocker an immediate mandatory. The other thing Liam Paro has to work out is when that eye stops swelling, what's wrong with it. If he needs surgery or there's a fracture in his orbital or something like that, we're talking months out for Liam Paro. So I think we just got to sit and wait and see what comes out on the next few days. And I'll let you know when there's sort of a medical update on Liam Paro's eye. I will chuck a picture of that up on the screen so you can have a look at it because it is nasty work. Liam Wilson was the co-main event. He took on Jorge Santana. Look, I'm not going to give Liam Wilson an abundance of credit for that fight. Although he did fight very, very well. I said in the preview that if Liam Wilson is worth his weight and wants a world title, he smokes Jorge Santana. And he did. He did exactly that. TKO in the 4th round, retains his WBO International Super Featherweight title. I thought it was very well fought from Liam Wilson. I have been critical of his want to brawl and put himself in dangerous positions when you can box very, very well, Liam Wilson. And last night he did box very, very well. Although sometimes he was getting into exchanges and Jorge Santana did land some good shots. The one thing that worked very, very well for Liam Wilson is the left hooks to the body. From round 1, he was digging to that body, ripping at that liver. By the 2nd, 3rd round, Jorge Santana's hand started to lower. And in the 4th, Liam Wilson realizes and capitalizes, feigns to do another hook to the body, goes upstairs, clips him on the temple. Well, I say clips, it was a clean hit to the temple, but knocks Jorge Santana down and he doesn't get back up. Liam Wilson winning that fight. Good performance, but like I said, Jorge Santana is not someone on the level of the person that he wants to fight, and we're going to get into that because Liam Wilson and his promoter George Rose were both asked what's next for Liam Wilson. They both had very different answers. We'll start with George Rose because I feel like his opinion is more on point to what will happen next than what Liam Wilson's wants and desires are for what's next. Now, George Rose said that he wants Emmanuel Navarrete in Brisbane. Look, that's not going to happen in my opinion. Not only is Emmanuel Navarrete not going to be Liam Wilson's next fight, but Emmanuel Navarrete with the belt, I don't believe, comes to Brisbane to fight. Emmanuel Navarrete knows if he fights in South America, he gets the advantage. That's where he wants to fight. And Emmanuel Navarrete is actually supposed to be mandated Charlie Suarez, but I don't actually think there's a date or a time or a venue for that fight yet. So I'm not sure where in limbo that fight sits, but I do believe Navarrete's next fight, no matter when or where it is, it will be against Charlie Suarez. So that puts Liam Wilson back to a point of, well, what can I do next? Do I fight another stay busy fight? Do I look and see what other champions are out there and see if I can get a fight there? Now, Liam Wilson, he called out someone that I was not expecting him to call out, and that was George Kambosos Jr. That fight seems unmakeable to me. Number one, Liam Wilson would then be not fighting at his weight at super featherweight, which I think is a bit silly. It is a big name on your resume. I just don't know how much credit you get for George Kambosos at the current point. George Kambosos coming off a loss and not a great performance against Jake Wiley. It's still a big name. It's still a former world champion, one of the best Australian boxers that I've ever seen. And you're going to be looking at George Kambosos and saying you're a big payday, you're a big event, you're a big market. But if you're searching for world titles, this isn't a fight that I'd have. Not only does Liam Wilson not fight at super featherweight there, he'll have to go up to super lightweight to fight George Kambosos, you'd imagine, unless there's a catch weight. But I don't see that happening. Either way, Liam Wilson will have to go up. And the other problem is George Kambosos, Ferocious Promotions, and does he have a deal with Matchroom or DAZN? His last fights have been on DAZN, so No Limit and one of those organizations I don't remember, especially not recently, working together. So I think that fight would be very, very hard to be made unless Liam Wilson is happy to go and fight on a DAZN card under George Kambosos Jr.'s rules. That's the only way that fight happens, because George Kambosos will be the commander of that fight. He will be the one setting the rules and setting the venue and setting everything else, because George Kambosos is the man in charge, in my opinion. I don't actually know what George Kambosos Jr. has planned. I thought he was coming out with a boxing announcement soon, but I'm not 100% sure. For Liam Wilson, don't be afraid of looking at the other organizations within your division. I know it's a bit hard at the moment because I actually think they all have fights apart from Eduardo Nunez, who just came off the back of a win. So it will be hard to get a fight for a belt there. But have another fight. Just have another fight. Whether it's under WBO rules, whether it's under IBF, any of those organizations, just to at least get yourself higher ranked within each organization and open your options up to hopefully a mandatory or hopefully the next shot at the title. Like I said, no, you're not going to get Navarrete next, so you can forget about that. It's about either staying busy with a big name fight to really put your hand up, or it's looking at who's highly ranked in the other governing bodies that you can try and capitalize on it and build your ranking within it, whether that's IBF or WBA or whatever division it is. Like I said, the only champion that doesn't have a date right now is Eduardo Sugar Nunez. Everybody else is currently occupied with other things, so the options aren't great. Liam Wilson is capable of moving in and around the divisions. Like, he is a big super featherweighter. Whether he wants to move up to lightweight, although up there the fights get even harder, and up there is no openings either. You have Shakur Stevenson, you have Gervonta Davis, still a champion somehow. You have Sam Noakes and Abdullah Mason fighting. So for Liam Wilson, he isn't in a bit of a bind now if he wants a world title. I don't believe he can. I'd be surprised if Liam Wilson can get down to featherweight. Although there are fights there that can be made at featherweight. Whether he wants to have a go at Nick Ball, but I don't think that'll happen either. Angelo Leo. So there's fights around. I just don't think Liam Wilson will get any of them next. I think Liam Wilson needs to have one more stay busy fight and try and make a push for a world title in any of the governing bodies. Alright guys, that is all the video for today. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, especially about Liam Paro. I want to hear what you guys thought of Liam Paro's performance last night. Like, subscribe, and I'm out of here guys. See ya!